shit.
Question 1. Do you like the longer beard?
No.
You have questions. We are attempting answers to a bunch of, I guess you call it a question box.
A Q&A.
It's a question, well, that's where you got the questions from?
Yes.
Was a question box on
Instagram.
Okay, so that's where these questions are coming from. Yeah, we're going to try to do our best to answer them. You're going to answer them.
No, we had a lot of questions.
So
This is
a
what
lot
I
of
narrowed
questions.
down. I narrowed it down to the top 11. Like if multiple people kept asking the same question, then I'd write it down. So we might not get to your question.
So I say we start from 11 and
Okay.
work our way backwards.
Okay, so number 11, and this one's kind of funny because a lot of people said, where do you get your clothes? And then some people said, I hate your clothes. Like, so if you hate my clothes, don't listen.
Plug your ears. Don't listen to this one.
We have a very balanced group of people following us, apparently. So, honestly, pretty much Goodwill's, consignment stores is where I get my clothes, or online cheap places like Temu or Shein. That's pretty much where I get my clothes. Can you think of anywhere else? Occasionally I find something on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. You always
For the
look
most
good.
part.
You always look beautiful. You're
Thank
stunning.
you.
So I was like, I mean, I'm thinking she's, going to like these outlet places.
Oh,
but
yeah.
She's not. So we're like, wow, way to go, girl.
Oh, goodness. Next question. Least favorite and favorite thing about Florida? I'll let you go first.
The least favorite thing about Florida. I guess the only thing that I would say is the least favorite is being far away from
Family.
Yeah, family and our best
And
friends.
friends.
I'd say that's really the only
Negative.
probably the only negative thing that I've kind of come up with in my mind about if I think about that.
And that is hard. We got a lot of questions about if we're homesick, and I think yes.
Yes, it comes and goes.
Yes, it's hard. I mean, you miss your family, you miss your friends, and I'm thankful for FaceTime, and thankfully, like
Marco
my
Polo.
parents have been down probably 3 times since we've been here,
Yeah, it's been awesome.
and then
My folks have come out.
yes,
I think
and then
yeah.
Tori has come out, and Bobby, and I've got to go there to see them too. So we've really tried to stay connected as much as we can. So I'm grateful, for that. But that's definitely the most difficult part about Florida. My favorite thing about Florida is probably the beaches, for one. We try to go visit. We have a beach about an hour and 15 minutes away. So usually on Saturdays we'll load up and spend the whole day at the beach, and it's the most relaxing, wonderful thing.
Yeah. Well, my favorite thing about Florida is the sun.
Yes.
I
love
have
sunshine.
lived in many states, from all the way up to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, to Oklahoma, to Indiana, Tennessee, now Florida, and I can say that the sun here is worth the heat. And they're saying this is like one of the hottest summers, is what some people say. I'm like, if this is the hottest summer, I said, I think I can manage. This is okay.
The kids have adjusted.
Of course, I'm
well,
speaking
too.
for myself, and you're pregnant, so it's like,
No, you know what? I have loved it. As long as I'm outside, the splash pad has to be on, or I am too hot.
Yeah.
But usually we spend at least a couple hours every day outside in the
Yeah.
sunshine in the splash pad, and it's been wonderful. How often do you see family? We kind of answered that a little earlier. A lot of people asked if we get to see my sister Alyssa, who lives about an hour away, and the cousins, and thankfully we've made trips there, and they've come here, and the cousins have got to play together. She has a pool, so the kids are just in heaven there. So that has been a bright spot for sure, having, some family close by. Jackson is about an hour away, but as of now, he is very preoccupied with his fiance, so
Yep.
we don't see a lot of him. A lot of people asked, who will you have in the room when you give birth? And a lot of this depends on the hospital rules at the time, just because I feel like hospitals are constantly changing their rules
are.
depending on, flu season or, whatever is going on. So if I'm able I would, of course, Chad. You're allowed to be there.
I made it on the list.
And then my sister Tori is going to be here, which is going to be so special. And then my mom and Chad's mom, hopefully. So my sister Tori, Chad's mom, and my mom, hopefully. I am not really a private person when it comes to that. The more the merrier as far as people in the room. I love a lot of people. I feel just the support and encouragement.
I would probably be a private person.
He probably would be.
Giving birth to a child. Yeah.
Yes. That would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful.
How is Chad's business here in Florida?
Yeah.
And for those of you who do not know, he has a construction business, paint construction.
Yeah.
And we kind of moved it from Tennessee here to Florida.
Yeah, so thankfully I've started several jobs since moving to Florida and working towards more, and so that's a transition. Obviously, I made a lot of contacts.
Established.
Thankfully,
yeah.
I made a lot of contacts in Tennessee, but so moving here, trying to figure out everything, help, all those kind of things. That's been a tricky thing, a challenging thing, but I'm just grateful for the work. There's plenty of work down here.
Beautiful work. So yeah. He's been working on a lot. Is this pregnancy any different than your other pregnancies? And in some ways, yes, I feel like it's been harder.
Yeah.
So with Finley, I had low iron and did a lot of iron infusions throughout my pregnancy with her. And this baby, I've had low iron and anemia as well. I don't know. I feel like all pregnancy is hard. Yeah. Specifically, I think I've just been dealing with a lot of bad varicose veins, which I've never had before, especially on this level. So if you've had varicose veins before, please tell me anything that you've done to help alleviate that. I've tried to do quite a bit as far as people recommendations and stuff like creams and wraps and ice packs and keeping them elevated.
These special
compression
stockings
leggings
that are very hard to get on.
and they're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm dealing with, but goodness, it could be a lot worse.
It was pretty rough there at the beginning, though.
Yes, the sixth part is very hard.
Yeah.
But praise the Lord, we're past that stage, so that's a huge blessing. Will you ever move back to Tennessee?
Absolutely. I mean, we are, I think that this is a great country. I feel like opportunities everywhere, and if that's somewhere where God led us, we felt like we need to go back to Tennessee. I'm all in. I mean, I'm like, hey, I'd like to hold on to things loosely because, people, they're what's most important, but, things, places, geographical locations, they come and go, and there's pros and cons everywhere you go, but...
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Names you loved but you did not use. So I just picked we've talked about this before. I like unique names. Chad likes more
traditional names.
Mm-hmm. And so we try to balance.
Or family names,
Yes. So we
depending on if it's a good family name. I've tried to get rid of Payne, but it didn't work out.
Oh my goodness. So these are more my names than Chad's names. But these were our top ones on our name list for like the first name. So for boys, Beckett, Blythe, Forrest, Gatlin, and Oakland. I love them. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, that's some unique names there. I have to think about them all for a little bit.
For girls, I think I had a lot more girls' names with this baby than boys, but Scotland.
Yeah, you've always loved that.
I apparently love places. English, November, and call her Novi. It's just so cute because it was going to be a November baby.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
It takes some time to settle in. Darcy, Brighton, and Ireland. Brighton was a big one. We were kind of tossing back before.
Brighton's really pretty.
It's really pretty. Do you have a name for your baby boy?
Do we?
Are we gonna announce it?
I don't know. I was like, well, a lot of people do it like in a really fancy way. I'm like, well, we could just say.
We're just not really fancy people. So Carson's name is actually Charles Stephen Payne IV. It's a family name named after his dad and his grandpa and him, of course. And it's kind of funny because Carson acts just like his daddy, identical.
Poor guy.
But we ended up calling him Carson, which I kind of regret now.
It's not a nickname for Charles.
Yeah.
Nor is Chad either.
Yeah, nobody basically goes by Charles. I wish I would have gone by Charles. So now
We could change it.
I asked him. He's
Started
like,
calling him
Mom.
Charles.
He's like, Mom, can you call me Charles? But I realized that's very hard to switch over when your child is 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But this baby's name is going to be a family name from my side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad's name is William Gilvin, and my grandpa's is William Gilvin. He is the senior. So the first name is going to be William, and Gage is the middle name. William Gage Payne.
William Gage, which William means, I think, helmet, protection, and Gage, they're both English names.
Oath of God.
Gage is what? Apparently the meaning I saw was a measure, like a standard of measure. And so, which I was like, well, you must have looked at like the Christian meaning of the name.
I didn't
Did you
know.
look at
That's what the name book said.
the name book said the oath of God.
Or promise,
like
or
it.
pledge, or like
Yeah.
measure's cool too.
I like, yeah, because it's like he's gonna live up to a standard that other
was
people
so
can.
funny.
I did not know that because I was looking at the meanings and I was like, because we're not huge about the meanings
We
of the
probably
name,
shouldn't be,
like
but
researching it all. And
I'm
like
all
coming
about
up
the
with
way it sounds.
Aaron's about the way that it sounds. But I like to have something where Charles Stephen is
Handsome.
strong, manly, crowned one. Is the meaning handsome? It means handsome. No,
It does mean handsome. It does.
It does?
Yes.
Really?
Very handsome.
I don't know where Aaron. We'll have to do another Q&A where we get our baby names from, like the ideas and the books that we read
so
for
funny.
the meanings. But anyways, well, we'll figure out what the name means. Hopefully, it's something really good.
Oh goodness. So we'll have Charles and William. I do love that. It's such a pretty combination.
Yes, Charles and Williams go. So we can switch Carson's name. Which Carson and William? That sounds great too.
It sounds great.
Kind of sounds like
it's
royalty.
all great. If you could instill, this is a very deep question. If you could instill 3 traits in your children, what would they be?
Wow, that's a question.
Very deep. We just briefly mentioned it before doing this. And
Oh man. Well, I know that in my life, I guess when I think of my kids, they usually end up turning out a lot like the parents in a lot of different ways. Not always, but I think that parents have a great bearing on their lives. And so when I see my weaknesses and things like that, I say, man, this is what I want my children to be strong in, is my weaknesses. And so what did we come up with? The couple things we came up with was gratefulness. I think if you have a grateful attitude, you kind of turns into a level of contentment, and godliness with contentment is great gain. To be content in whatever state that you're in and to be grateful. I think that goes a long way. Yeah. And then what you got? Selflessness.
And next, I really thought, when I think of one of the most beautiful attributes in a person, I think of selflessness, always putting someone before themselves, and that's so beautiful. But Chad was like, that really falls kind of under love, because love, that is what love is. It's really, so I think that would be love.
Yeah, it's self-denial. And so, if I could, leave that with the kids, I think that's, they're going to serve the Lord, they're going to serve other people. That's going to be a big thing in their lives. But,
and then lastly would be humility.
Yeah.
I think that's just
God's close to those that are humble, and
quality
He resists the
in a
proud.
person.
So, it is a beautiful quality that I think it's just a very attractive, and I think that's God gives grace to those that are humble. So we all need grace.
Yes. Favorite books, and what are you currently reading? If you know me, I love to read. Typically, I carve out some time every single day to read something. And just a quick little note, if you're not subscribed to our email on our website, do that because I'm hoping to send a whole book list out of some of my favorite books and why, and in the next little bit. So it'll be a more a bigger version.
Yeah, if you want to know a great books, I mean, Erin's definitely the one to talk to. She makes the time, because it is hard, but she makes the time to read. I like reading if there's nothing else to like really do, but I have to kind of force myself because I know it's good for me. Because I'm slowly reading through a book right now.
Yeah. So currently, I'm just going to say my favorite author right now, because I have read pretty much 4 books back to back of his, and they were all equally just as wonderful and beautiful and challenging and inspiring. He's from the 1800s. His name is J.R. Miller, and sometimes it's hard to find those books. I found, honestly, some of them on Amazon for a couple dollars. But I brought me a stack out here. The first one I read was called Homemaking. I feel like it's kind of mistitled. It should have been called maybe like The Christian Family. But it's basically an overview of every person in the family, what their role is, and how to use that to really bring glory to God and create an atmosphere in the home of peace and love and joy. And I mean, it's just beautifully written. You won't want to put it down.
And it's really timeless, like the truths in that, because that's the book I'm going through right now, is actually reading it, because I like to try to be on the same page with Erin.
Beautiful.
And
that's called Homemaking.
Yeah, it's really good.
These 3, I'm just making the most of life, a life of character. This is so challenging, and living without worry. So those are the ones that I just have finished. And then one more, Loving the Little Years. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Rachel Jankovic, maybe? But this is really great for the stage I'm in right now, currently. And if you're a mama and you have a lot of little ones, this would be a huge encouragement as well.
Thanks for being interested in our lives. It's humbling to people to ask you questions. You're like, wow, I mean, I don't have answers, but because we're still finding answers ourselves and walking through this thing we call life and growing. Because I think if you ever stop growing, there's a problem. So you want to always be growing, and so we appreciate feedback and things like, hey, this is what I found to be really helpful, or this book, or this is something that I'm growing in, because that challenges us, and so it's a kind of a mutual beneficial relationship. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being interested, and we hope to get to more questions at some point. We didn't want to make it a super long video, but we did. We were really excited about sharing William Gage's name, and we're looking forward to him. And I know Erin's she's the best mom, best mother, and in homeschooling right now on top of everything, and she's just a wonder.
Sweet.
And but thank you guys. Have a blessed week, and we hope to keep in touch.